The night was supposed to be glamorous. The red carpet, glittering lights, and flashing cameras all promised one thing: a celebration of music at its finest. But in 2026, something happened at the Grammys that no one, not even the event organizers, could have predicted. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle walked into the room, expecting applause, perhaps curiosity, maybe even admiration. Instead, they were met with a wave of noise that left their ears ringing and their hearts racing. Booing. Heckling. Unfiltered, loud, public disdain. Who invited you here? The question wasn't whispered. It was shouted, and it would echo across social media, tabloids, and global news outlets for days, weeks, and months after. Before we continue, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell for updates. Imagine being in that room. Imagine the crowd, thousands of people, their eyes focused, their cameras poised, and suddenly all that energy turns against you. Not in polite murmurs, not in quiet disapproval, but in an audible, relentless cacophony of judgment. The kind of judgment that seems to penetrate every layer of your being. And for Harry and Meghan, this wasn't just any audience. This was a room full of the people who shape fame, influence, and culture. Musicians, actors, media moguls, and celebrities who had spent their entire lives navigating attention. And yet, for them, this couple, once celebrated, once adored, now controversial, was an anomaly they couldn't stomach in their midst. Why? What triggered this wave of public animosity? Was it years of tabloid scrutiny, the complicated dance between royalty and celebrity, or a sense that Harry and Meghan were intruding into a world that should have been theirs to witness quietly, from a distance? Or was it something else entirely? A calculated, almost theatrical display of rejection, staged perhaps by those who felt threatened by their presence? That's the story we're about to unravel. The scene outside the Staples Center was electric. Fans had gathered hours in advance, some hoping to catch a glimpse of the royal couple, others armed with phones ready to document every awkward step. Paparazzi lined the street, their lenses snapping relentlessly. The air smelled of expensive perfumes, hot dog carts, and the faint metallic tang of anticipation. Every step Harry and Meghan took toward the entrance seemed to amplify the tension. You could almost hear the collective thought of the crowd. Who are they to step into this sacred hall of music, of icons, of history? Inside, the atmosphere was no less charged. The audience, carefully curated by invitations, passes, and influence, waited in expectation. The Grammys had always been about music, but over the years, it had become a stage for spectacle, for drama, for celebrity culture at its peak. And now, Harry and Meghan were about to step into that spotlight, but not as musical legends, not as performers, not as award recipients. They were stepping in as themselves, as public figures whose story was no longer just royal or media-centric. It had become a global conversation about identity, privacy, and the blurred lines between admiration and obsession. Their arrival was documented in real time. Cameras zoomed in as Meghan's heels clicked against the marble floors, Harry's expression a careful mask between calm and tension. Flashbulbs popped. Journalists leaned forward, murmuring updates into live streams. Social media users watched on screens across continents. And then it happened. The first murmurs of disapproval turned into shouts. A few voices at first, easily ignored, but then spreading, swelling, echoing. Who invited you here? Someone yelled. Not a whisper. A challenge. A confrontation. The kind that leaves you questioning your place in a room, in the world, in the narrative that surrounds you. For Harry, the moment must have been surreal. He had faced scrutiny before, tabloids dissecting his every move, political debates over the relevance of monarchy, public opinion swinging like a pendulum from love to disdain. But this was different. This was raw, unfiltered, immediate. The audience wasn't mediated by headlines or filters or cameras. This was the crowd. Up close, unrestrained, in real time. And Meghan, poised and composed, felt the weight of every eye, every judgment, every whisper and shout, as if the air itself had turned against her. Could you have stayed composed in that moment? Could you have smiled, nodded, and walked on, while thousands of voices demanded you leave? Most of us would falter. Most of us would freeze. But they had no choice. Cameras were rolling, history was watching, and millions were waiting to see how they would respond. Yet, the boos were only the surface. The real story, the part that would shock even seasoned journalists and media analysts, was hidden behind the scenes. Backstage, whispers turned into arguments. Security officers exchanged nervous glances. Celebrities leaned in, some smirking, others shocked, trying to process the audacity of the moment. Social media, as always, was a live witness, translating every sound, every movement, every reaction into a global narrative. Tweets, posts, and memes began to proliferate at lightning speed. The Grammys had become more than a music award show. It had become a cultural battlefield. And Harry and Meghan were in the middle of it, whether they liked it or not. What had brought the world to this moment? Was it Harry's outspoken critiques of media intrusion, the couple's decision to step back from royal duties, or Meghan's previous statements about the pressures of fame and systemic bias? Or was it something simpler, something human? The audience's discomfort with two people who dared to live on their own terms, who refused to fit neatly into expectations, who challenged the narratives carefully curated for decades. Whatever the cause, the impact was immediate, tangible, and unforgettable. This introduction is not just about setting the scene. It's about pulling the audience into a story that's bigger than a single event. It's about examining the collision of fame, scrutiny, and public perception. It's about the raw, unfiltered human reactions that occur when celebrity, royalty, and culture collide. And it's about asking questions that resonate far beyond a single night in February 2026. What does it mean to belong? Who gets to decide? And how much courage does it take to walk into a room where everyone is waiting for you to fail? As the camera pans across the glittering audience, the tension grows. The murmurs have evolved into a wave of sound that presses against Harry and Meghan from every angle. They step forward, navigating a sea of disapproval, maintaining composure with every ounce of their experience, every bit of resilience built over years in the spotlight. And yet, just as they think they have survived the initial wave, a new challenge emerges, one that no one anticipated, one that threatens to upend the entire night. What came next would change everything, and no one saw it coming. What happens when anticipation meets confrontation? When a red carpet, built to celebrate glitz and glamour, becomes a stage for judgment. That's exactly what unfolded the moment Prince Harry and Meghan Markle arrived at the 2026 Grammys. The air outside the Staples Center was thick with expectation, excitement, and a tension that could almost be cut with a knife. Fans had been waiting for hours, some hoping to catch a glimpse of their favorite musicians, others armed with phones ready to document history in real time. But no one could have predicted the storm that was about to hit. The couple stepped out of their car, Meghan's heels clicking sharply against the polished sidewalk, Harry walking just a step behind, his jaw tight, eyes scanning the crowd. It was a moment of theatrical entrance, perfectly choreographed by the photographers, yet perfectly unprepared for the reaction they were about to face. At first, there were cheers, polite, cautious, almost perfunctory. Cameras clicked. Flashbulbs exploded. And then, somewhere in the crowd, a voice broke the polite illusion. "Who invited you here?" The words ricocheted across the entrance, louder than anyone anticipated. At first, it seemed like an isolated comment, a lone heckler trying to steal attention. But it didn't stop. The murmurs began to ripple. They grew louder, more coordinated. Some fans joined in, caught up in the contagious energy of the moment. Others looked on, shocked, uncertain if the scene unfolding before them was real or staged. The tension mounted. Harry's hand briefly brushed against Meghan's as if to silently say, "Stay steady. Ignore it." But Meghan, poised and calm, felt every vibration of disapproval ripple through the air. The cameras captured it all, of course. Each frame, each close-up, was broadcast live to millions around the world. Social media lit up instantly. Within minutes, hashtags exploded across platforms. Hashtag Harry and Meghan Grammy Boo. Hashtag Royal Controversy. Hashtag Who Invited You. Memes began to circulate, some humorous, some cruel, others downright vicious. People were dissecting every expression, every gesture, every whispered word, as if the couple's humanity itself was a performance under microscopic scrutiny. But the crowd wasn't only composed of ordinary fans. Celebrities lined the entrance, some laughing nervously, others exchanging awkward glances. The very people who were supposed to represent the pinnacle of pop culture seemed caught off guard. A few backstage whispers even hinted at disbelief. How could a room filled with stars, artists, and executives turn so quickly from polite welcome to aggressive confrontation? Was it jealousy, shock, or a deeper resentment toward the couple's presence in a space so fiercely curated for entertainment royalty? The photographer's lenses zoomed in on Meghan as she approached the main entrance. Her smile remained, but there was tension in her eyes. She knew the world was watching, that every micro-expression would be analyzed, dissected, and debated. Harry followed close behind, protective yet restrained, aware that any reaction could fuel the firestorm even further. Security flanked them discreetly, scanning the crowd for threats, for signs of escalation. The Staples Center had never seen a red carpet quite like this. A public confrontation mixed with royal poise, an invisible dance between defiance and diplomacy. And yet, the audience's reaction was only the tip of the iceberg. Backstage, chaos had already begun to bubble. Event organizers exchanged frantic whispers over headsets. A producer muttered something about reassigning cameras. Stagehands peeked through curtains, unsure if the public outcry would spill over into the main event. The energy was electric but toxic, a combustible mixture of celebrity, entitlement, and social media scrutiny. Every second that Harry and Meghan stood on that red carpet, the storm built stronger, louder, faster. Fans on the street were capturing it all. Phones pointed at the couple, live streams broadcasting reactions in real time. Some fans cheered quietly, perhaps out of loyalty, curiosity, or fascination. Others booed, their voices merging into a relentless wave. "Go home," shouted someone near the edge of the crowd. "You don't belong here," yelled another. The sheer audacity of the hecklers seemed almost choreographed, almost purposeful, and it raised questions that no one had answers to yet. Why this intensity? Why this level of personal attack? And most importantly, what would Harry and Meghan do next? As the couple continued to walk toward the main entrance, something subtle yet unmistakable occurred. Several high-profile attendees, those who had been waiting for celebrity greetings, subtly moved aside, creating a kind of invisible corridor. Some nodded politely, others stared in disbelief. Whispers spread through the press box, camera operators talking over headsets, and fans online sharing live commentary. Every step Meghan and Harry took seemed heavier than the last, burdened not just with physical distance to cover, but the weight of global scrutiny and social expectation. Then, the unexpected happened. A small group of individuals, uninvited guests who had somehow gained proximity, started chanting. At first, it was unclear what was being said, the words blending into a buzzing chaos. Security immediately stepped in, forming a human barrier between the crowd and the couple. But the chants persisted. It was as if the very atmosphere had turned against them, an invisible wave of hostility pressing down with every heartbeat. Harry glanced toward Meghan, and for the briefest moment, their eyes met. That look, a mixture of resolve, frustration, and unspoken communication, said everything without words. They had prepared for scrutiny, but perhaps not this level of raw, unfiltered antagonism. The red carpet had always been a stage, but tonight it was a battlefield. Every flash of the camera, every cheer, every hiss of disapproval, every whisper from backstage created a tension that was almost unbearable. And still, the couple moved forward, maintaining composure, navigating the chaos with a poise born of years under scrutiny. It was a test of endurance, of public perception, of personal strength. And then came the moment that would be replayed for weeks in clips, GIFs, and headlines. As Harry and Meghan reached the doors, a voice, louder, more aggressive than any before, shouted across the crowd, questioning not just their presence but their legitimacy. "What are you even doing here?" the voice demanded. The words cut through the air like a knife. Cameras captured the reactions of bystanders, security, and the couple alike. Gasps, murmurs, and nervous laughter erupted simultaneously. It was the kind of confrontation that was equal parts shocking and surreal, a moment that would define the narrative of the night and dominate media coverage long after the lights dimmed. As they stepped inside, the tension followed them. Security relaxed marginally, but the energy in the room, charged by the audience, amplified by social media, and fueled by centuries of public fascination with royalty and celebrity, remained palpable. The Grammys had become more than a music award show. It had become a stage where societal expectations, fame, and human judgment collided, where a single couple could provoke reactions ranging from admiration to outright hostility. And as Harry and Meghan moved through the throngs of photographers, fans, and critics, one truth became undeniable: nothing about this night would be ordinary.